more important than water would be air.
Ultimately, we're going to have to live with the water that we have.
In 60 years, we have changed the landscape of water.
Family water use in the United States is something between 160,000 to 360-some thousand gallons per year.
We have just gone into what is called a state regulatory drought. Water is the new oil.
Water. I think we're in trouble.
My name is H.R. Downs, and I'm the president of the OWL Foundation. That's Open Space, Water Resource Protection, and Land Use. And we incorporated in 2003. We're very concerned about the water issues in Sonoma County. Water is a finite resource. You can't make more water. You can't, there's no way to create more water. There's a specific amount of water on the planet, and that's been here forever, and it won't change. So the problem is, if you have an increasing demand on a finite resource, eventually you're going to run out. Something has got to give. And remember, water is an element. It's not, like I said, it's not, you can't make any more of it. So if you run out, you're out. It's also crucial for life, for everything that we do. Now, we've started to see water problems in Sonoma County. The Santa Rosa Plain groundwater basin, for example, one of the most water-rich areas in Sonoma County, is in serious groundwater overdraft. An area under Rohnert Park has been mapped by the USGS and other agencies, and they discovered a massive hole in the aquifer. They've dropped the water table, that's the top of the aquifer, 150 feet in just a matter of 20 years. For the most water-rich area in Sonoma County, that's an amazing achievement. You have to do a lot of pumping to damage the aquifer that much. And that's not the only place in Sonoma County that's suffering. For 90 years, there was a scheme in the northern part of the county to divert water from the Eel River and send it to the Russian River. That diversion ruined the Eel River. It practically destroyed it. So the Friends of the Eel River sued the water agency in Sonoma County over issues pertaining to this diversion, and they won. That cut back the amount of water rights available to Sonoma County's water agency. That was a 15% cutback that they had to do. When that happened, the Sonoma County Water Agency went to its contractors, that's the cities and the water districts that buy water from the water agency, and they told them, we do not have enough water for all of your general plans. And many of these general plans are quite ambitious. We're talking many thousands of new houses. Now again, this is just water demand. This is thousands of new houses on the same finite amount of water. So the water agency said, now we don't have that water for you. You're going to have to start doing other things. You're going to either have to start conserving, you're going to have to start reusing dirty water, or most importantly, you're going to have to start pumping more groundwater. Because overwhelmingly, the bulk of all of our water supply is underground. It's not the Russian River or Lake Sonoma. Those are minuscule amounts of water per volume compared to what's underground. That's really the mother lode. So, but you don't want to stress that. You don't want to keep pumping all that water. You want to keep that water as an emergency. So, everybody got this bad news that the water agency does not have enough water for the general plans that are on the books right now. So what they're starting to do is two things. Number one, they are asking everybody to cut back, also coincidentally, 15% of your water use. You're asked to take shorter showers. You're asked to water your lawns less, or for whatever the use is. Every drop of water that they are asking you to save is not for you. It's not for planning ahead for a drought. It's not for planning ahead for the inevitability of global warming. Every drop of that water is so that developers can build more houses and make profits off of this. That's what it's for. And still, there are no plans for the next drought, which is absolutely guaranteed. In fact, right now, in the beginning the summer of 2007, the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, has already declared Sonoma County a disaster area because of the drought. So we are starting to see something already that is going to pinch us, and there are no plans for it. Not long ago, the Board of Supervisors were very surprised to learn in a public meeting that new houses can often use more water than the older houses. And part of the reason for this is that, this is especially true with the so-called McMansions, they may have low-flow shower heads, but they could have 6 of them in a shower stall. They have bathtubs, but the bathtubs might have a current in it generated to swim inside the bathtub, and these bathtubs are huge, or they're for 4 or 5 people. And they may have more extensive lawns as well. There's a lot of ways to conserve and to be more efficient with the water that you've got, but new houses often do not take advantage of these new ways of conserving. But if you want outside developers to come into your community and to profit, you're going to have to give them your water. That's basically what the trade-off is. Now there are certain laws that are designed to try to help bolster the amount of water supply that we've got. For example, this Senate Bill 610 is trying to protect the water supply by requiring cities and developers who want to build 500 houses or the equivalent, so that could be 200 houses in a strip mall or whatever. If it comes to the equivalent of 500 houses, and if you're using groundwater at all, you have to be able to look at the groundwater basin and assess how much water is in there, and you have to prove that there's a 20-year supply of future water supplies in that groundwater basin. The thing is, you cannot ignore the water problem. At some point, you're going to have to sit down and pay this bill. We all will. It's going to be very painful. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate being able to explain some of these things from the Owl Foundation's perspective. And you can, like I said, go to our website. You can download a lot of materials there. And email me if you need any other questions asked. And I certainly hope that Sonoma County comes through this safely.
the new oil. I mean, it's like I tell people, I go, if you're in your car and you run out of gas, or we run out of gas as a country, and you're thirsty and there's no drinking water, you will not care about your car anymore. So the thing is, the reason why we wanted to have this on water is that we have just gone into what is called a state regulatory drought. And the prediction is that by the year 2020, the population of California will exceed the available drinking water. That's not that far away. But at the end of this meeting, I hope you understand why your Sonoma County Water Agency is currently being sued.
Western European settlement and East Coast settlement moving west, you know, what do we got, 150 years as a state. So the population growth and the growth of the economies, both beyond agriculture into industrial, commercial, residential, that we have now, really the boom has been since World War II. In 60 years, we have changed the landscape of water beyond anything that anybody could have imagined 75, 100, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. And the question is there water for another 150 years? And all I can say at this point is on the trajectory that we are on now, the answer is going to be no. If you sit down at the Water Advisory Committee meetings, which is the contractors' meetings, first Monday of every month, 9 a.m. at the Honor Road treatment plant. Come on down, they are public meetings. It's the engineers, it's the elected representatives from all the 9 contractors from the water agency. And if you're sitting at that meeting, you'll hear engineer after engineer saying, when are we going to get this done? They recently wrote a letter to the Board of Supervisors saying, stop dragging your feet. Come on, we need the water. All this water behind Lake Sonoma, get it going. So how long is it going to take till we actually see more water than we have now coming through Sonoma County Water Agency's pipelines? Randy Poole, the general manager, will basically say 6, 8, 10 years from now, if everything goes according to plan. But you probably just saw articles about asking the State Water Resources Control Board, which is the state agency that controls water permits, to look at revising what's called Decision 1610. Decision 1610 is about 20 some odd years old, and it sets the boundary for the minimum flows in the Russian River below Coyote Dam all the way down. So you saw in the paper recently that in addition to the urgency low flow proposal for the Russian River for this year, because there's a drought, the initiation of a process to re-evaluate and revise the figures downwards from what it currently exists in the State Water Resources Control Board decision. By Sonoma County Water Agency staff, that's at least 3 years. The state board will then have to figure out, is it ready to take that on? The state board is already dealing with an overdrafted water withdrawals from the Russian River, middle and upper reach, already meet or exceed the amount of water that's naturally flowing in the Russian River. Add on top of that illegal withdrawals, which are numerous, and you have the Russian River being the river that is most out of whack in the state by far. There are hundreds of permit applications that are sitting to be processed. At this point, they're 10 years for processing, so a lot of ranchers upstream will just stick their pumps in the water and start pumping, figuring if they get nailed, they get nailed, otherwise they'll put an application in and it'll take you 10 years anyway. So Trout Unlimited and Peregrine Audubon Society have said, wait a second, for the sake of the fish, we need to get rid of all those illegal appropriation, all those illegal pumps, because there's not enough water in the Russian River to do that. So the state board not only has to consider how it's going to deal with this application for reducing flows, it has to take care of the prior problem of getting rid of finding out where are all these illegal wells, illegal pumps, figuring out how to get rid of them, rationalizing all the rest of the permit applications that are still in the pipeline, finding out how much water is going to be left, and then deal with Decision 1610. Just those two things alone, I'm guessing it is a 5 to 10 year run. So we're looking at essentially no new water into the water agency system 10 to 20 years is my prediction. That assumes no lawsuits. And from Friends of Eel standpoint, I'll tell you that the Eel River is being used to subsidize that overdrafting in the Russian River to the detriment of the Eel River. So of course we're really protective about that, trying to get that sorted out, because there are still fish in the Eel River. So add those three pieces together, it gets more complicated. As far as the water permits director for the state is concerned, untangling the Eel Russian River mess makes solving Mono Lake's problems look like a cakewalk, his words. Don't expect any more water. Thanks very much.
Water. In regard to tonight's topic, I think we're in trouble. I think it's a grim picture. I think we have a crisis that is brewing, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get this under control in a timely manner. We have a finite amount of water in Sonoma County. Not all of the water in Sonoma County is fit for human consumption. Some of the water in the basins at deeper levels with naturally occurring contaminants cannot be filtered out. So we're going to run out of water long before we run out of water. We have broken raw sewage pipelines, documented public information, that fail to safely transfer raw sewage, for example, from the city of Santa Rosa to the sewage treatment plant. Public record. We have saltwater intrusion that was prophesized and warned about in the 1950s evaluation known as the Cardwell Report. It was done for the county of Sonoma. The county was warned that if too much fresh water is removed in 3 areas of this county, we run the risk of saltwater intrusion. That's what happens when you pump too much fresh water out. You remove the barrier and saltwater leaches in. It's now happening in Sonoma. It's happening out in the Bodega Bay area. The third place that's been warned about is the city of Petaluma. 2 out of 3 is not a good indication of what's happening. County Health Department, which maps contaminated areas here in the county, groundwater supplies. I encourage all of you to pay a visit to the health department and take a look at how extensive the contamination is here in Sonoma County, and it's getting worse. By virtue of contamination alone, we're running out of safe, drinkable water. This water issue affects our economy, our health and safety, and our quality of life. The problem is further compounded by the fact that our demand is increasing. Not only are the cities growing, but we're exporting more water into Marin County. We cannot continue to do this. All in 1973, 1.5 billion gallons of Sonoma County's water was sent to North Marin, that's Ignacio, Nevada. And you can see that in 2006, it's grown to 3.5 billion gallons a year. We have people in Sonoma County that aren't in anyone's head count that are running out of water. Most of Sonoma County is marginal in its water availability, and we have the richest groundwater basin in the county, where portions of it are in decline. Publicly admitted, 150-foot static decline over the last 30 years. You will see 3 resolutions. These resolutions are draft resolutions that I prepared for consideration for the Sonoma County Democratic Central Committee, of which I was a member. I was appointed by Jared Huffman last year. 3 resolutions. The first one talks about terminating water exports to any other county. Of course, I'm talking about Marin. One calls for the implementation of reverse osmosis for sewage treatment, sewage water here in Sonoma County. And the third one calls for the enforcement of Senate Bill 610 For any entity like the casino with federally protected waterways, it cannot set up shop if the basin is in overdraft. How many people here believe that Sonoma County should continue to export groundwater supplies to Marin County? How many people think it should be stopped? Show me your hands.
Stop.
Thank you very much.
Stop.
Come on.